Greetings and welcome. I'm Rebecca Carner, Biofield tuner. There is so much that I want to say today. First of all, welcome, truly welcome, friends. Today's topic and today's tuning is defining faith and being stationed, which is like a Brangelina word mashup on to stay present, and to be patient. So the first thing that I'd really like to discuss is defining faith. I put it in the description below. A content creator on Instagram who I read on one of their slides, the lead 3 sentences were, people think faith is belief. It's not. Faith is stamina in mystery. This is where it's at, friends, right? Resilience, coping, creating awareness, any examined life, any measure of some sort of a meta-awareness of you as a thing doing a thing creates the need to be present and to ongoingly have some sort of reserve, some sort of energy source to draw from so that one can keep going in the ever unfolding now. That is stamina, right? Stamina is the ability to keep showing up with energetic presence. We often think of it in terms of sports, but it takes stamina to be humaning. It takes stamina to adult. It takes stamina to be lifing right now. And there are a lot of draws on stamina and resilience. History of trauma, fatigue, exhaustion, lack of support, low resources, low sleep, poor nutrition, poor, eating sort of options and choices, right? Not just like starvation nutrition, but not putting the proper fuel in. All of these things will siphon one's pool of resilience or pool of source energy that one draws on for the ongoing stamina of life. And then the other thing, I love that it was stamina in mystery. Part of the cacophony of noise, one of the dominant oscillators in the big noise right now in the out there is around chaos, destruction, bipolarization, tugging, smiting, war, justifying, overwhelming, and sort of overpowering. Chaos, fear, violence, vitriol, right? These are loud signals that make, instead of a coherent field, right? These are tones, these are frequencies that create a noise field that we're all living in. And so much of the time I sort of bristle in both spiritual and sort of quasi-scientific and fully scientific worlds, wherein chaos is described as random, as formless or structureless, and or as somehow, destructive or a coming undone. To my way of thinking, chaos is new form that the observer does not yet recognize. That does not mean that it is destructive or is somehow not its own thing. You just don't know what that thing is yet. So we call it chaos. But all emergent, all mutations, all evolutions, anything new, anything truly new, per that definition, will appear chaotic because we don't know what it is yet. But to call it a mystery, right? Chaos is something not yet known. That's what a mystery is. And in our systems, in our nervous systems, to our ears, the connotation and the intonation and the incantation of the word mystery prompts a curiosity. Even still, like some people, oh, I don't really like mysteries. I prefer rom-coms or I prefer nonfiction or whatever. Okay, fine. But when you say the word mystery, one's interior walls don't immediately go up. Whereas when you say the word chaos, it has become in the zeitgeist, in the collective, sort of you prick up your ears, you sort of hackle like, oh, I don't chaos, man. I don't need any of that. I don't need any of that. And so you already put up resistance or defense. So faith as stamina, being able to maintain a reserve of energy source to draw on and to continue to deploy it as one continually steps stamina into mystery, which is discovery of what's coming, discovery of what, and burgeoning understanding of what I'm creating in my life, right? That's what mystery is, right? The old Isis and so much Egyptology and many points in history often refer to mystery schools, right? These were ways of describing not a trade school, but in fact people who were gathering together in community to try and understand the unfolding of the earthly condition, the human condition, the spiritual condition, right? Mystery school was a more conceptual, and in that way, I don't think they would have used these words at the time, but in that way, a more quantum curriculum. Shoot. Ooh, wow. Okay. So, quantum curriculum. Let's put some tone on that. Let's put some intonation, information into that. Yeah. 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 Stamina in mystery as we explore our earthly quantum curriculum that we call a lifetime. Really good. Okay, I'm going to continue the tuning for just a second, but then the other word in the title of this tuning was a word mashup that came from a call I was on the other day, and the participant, it was a Zoom call, and the participant was walking through their home, and they were talking about fully being present in the set of unfolding circumstances that they were in. And while they moved, I misheard what they said. I think they just said being patient. But what I heard was station, right? To stay in the now, to stay present, and to be patient in the each moment, right? And then I almost immediately tripped into a contemplation of my own experience of what I have often labeled as patience, which is basically intentional dissociation. Okay, let me patiently wait for this exceedingly long line to get through. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm going to place my body here and place a still upright marker in this line. But what I'm going to do is check all the way out. I could literally be on another planet in the grocery store line, right? Or at the DMV. Or if I'm with people who are, or in some sort of collective meeting and I've kind of reached my fill of the content or whatever, and I am patiently waiting. That means that I am holding my physical form still, and I'm not removing myself physically, but I'm not staying present, right? And so to really imagine being patient with yourself, being patient with the mystery. To really be patient with mystery, one has to be stationed. You have to stay fully here in the not knowing. Yeah, right? Everybody finds that uncomfortable. You get practiced at it, you get good at it, but it's hard to do. To fully, we are trained to already know the answer. Oh, I should have known the answer. If somebody asks you something, just fill in some sort of factoid or opinion just to look like you know, rather than say, I don't know the answer to that. Let's discover together. That's stamina and mystery. And that's fully being patient to realize somebody just asked me something that I don't fully know. And I can own that. I can say, I don't know, but I'd love to find out, right? I think Viktor Frankl, one of his often ascribed quotes is, between stimulus and response or reaction, there is a space. And therein, that space, stimulus, because if it's immediate stimulus and response, your whole life is this sort of foregone reactive conclusion, right? But to wait between, hold on, excuse me. Ooh, right? Let's sneeze into that space. Between stimulus, if you are stationed, if you practice stations, you are present in the uncomfortable moments. You're fully present in the unknowingness of whatever learning curve or awareness building front you're working that day, that week, that year. And that is actually how you create time. That is how you slow down and truly take the wheel of your own creative driving force in this world. Because if something happens and then you react default automatically, not autonomically, because we truly don't have control over autonomic responses, but we do actually have agency and full control over automatic, what we label as automatic responses. You can create a gap. You can create a gap. That is what PTSD healing has proved. That is what awareness and any number of tools has proved, is that we can create, and in that gap, we have not only choice, but we have full creative potential. Quantum. Our quantum curriculum lies in that gap. Wow. Wow. Okay, here we go. I am tuning right into that. So, this tuning I have said with the words I have lofted into this collective space these concepts, and they made sense. So let's have, I'm going to tune. My intention for this tuning for the rest of this video is for whatever degree that your system is ready, may these frequencies be integrated, embodied, enwisdomed. I'm going to send to ground any attachments to old automated responses, right? Because we say, I want to let go of that what no longer serves, right? Okay, that's a useful concept, except when you say that what no longer serves me, you're making it a thing out here. But what you're wanting to release is your attachment to that thing. And that attachment, is from in here. So let's ground. Let's discharge. Let us let fall any clinging, any fear of letting go to familiar attachments, even when we know that they are no longer our jam and really not doing us any favors. We can still be quite affixed, right? Truly like full body human size Velcro, right? Tangled up in my mic. Like, what if we, right, unstuck ourselves? So, yeah, and it's uncomfortable. And there. Okay, yep. Let me change tunes here. And this is where we zhuzh up our faith. Because if we detach ourselves from our attachments, from even painful familiarities, actually, let me use the 220 here. Let's tune into the ability. Let's create a little antechamber, right? It's like a foyer. They're showing me it's like one of those rooms in those movies where you're about to go into like a scientific clean room and you stand in your little hazmat outfit and it like blows off all the dust and whatever germs and whatever. So let us make a little vestibule of stations. Let us create the internal resonance. Let us inform our central nervous system that to stay in and stay with a momentary not knowing, so that we can build something new. That vestibule, that antechamber to the portal of creation is breath, is pause. Very good. that beautiful, beautiful gap that Viktor Frankl referred to all those decades ago. That's ever so slightly different than sort of still point, but it is a form of stillness, of presencing. All right. We can hold, we can be in breath upon breath of momentary not knowing. It is safe to be curious and engaged with mystery. It is safe to be fully engaged with that what we are witnessing emerge. We don't already know. It isn't predictive, and that's the point. That's the point. Nice. Okay. And now, wow, this is weak. All right, now let us really, really Richard Rudd does a beautiful job of reminding us all on the regular that you create more time and you create more space and you create more availability to everything, more resource, more everything when you pause. And it's true, a day filled with pauses is more rich, more full without being more busy, right? It is absolutely, absolutely more productive, interestingly enough. You will run around less, but that what is truly produced will be of higher integrity, higher tensile strength, higher functionality when it is created from pause and presence. Yeah, nice. And that tank, right, that reservoir is filled with only breath. I can't tell you how sympathetic and compassionate and deeply personally understanding I am of the feeling of lack of resilience and lack of endurance to carry on, the feeling of overwhelm, the feeling of being tapped out. You know, the little gas pump light on your car, like, got less than a quarter tank. You know, in biofield tuning, there was this thing in our community several years ago that when you fall into automatic responses, it's like driving down the road, just throwing 20s out of your car window, like just reaching for your wallet and just throwing your bills out the window, right? Because if you're just like, oh my God, you know, What if blah, 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 and blah, 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 and you're driving along, you're literally throwing your BTUs, your little glimmering coins of energy inside you, you're burning through them at an incredibly high rate, right? Whereas if you think, wow, I see I'm really thinking about this, I'm quite concerned, that is important to me. And then if you stay in the pause, you're not throwing any of your precious resources, any of your energy out of the window at a burn rate. It's like throwing too much. It's like throwing all the cord of wood on a fire. Well, you're going to burn through your whole winter of wood store all in one evening. I mean, you can do it. The fire will consume it, right? But if you just throw on enough log to keep the room warm enough, you can do that all winter long, night upon night. It's exactly that way with our energy, with our thoughts, with our emotions, which is energy in motion. And that is how we create energy in motion. That is what mystery is. Nice. Nice. And we do have a collective story that when we sit within a space of unknowing, that it's uncomfortable or that it hurts. And I mean, this is a question, like, is that true? I know Rebecca has a concept that often she doesn't like it. But I recently did a video on mosquitoes, and it's like, what if when you feel the little zing of being bitten by a mosquito, you thought of that as a kiss from an angel, or you thought of that as, oh, may you take the best and most light aspects of myself and carry this as far and wide as you possibly can. That would change our perception of the zing of the mosquito bite, right? It would also change our perception of whatever amount of sort of itch or reminder came up. What if it was a momentary reminder? What if you thought of the itch of a mosquito bite as a momentary reminder of, 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 of the gift that you passed forward? Would that change your perception of the itch, right? So sitting in the not knowing, much like mosquito bites, we have a big old collective story that sucks. Well, hey, what if we re-scripted that, right? And immediately my attachment to that story came up in my own system, even as I just sort of channeled that concept. Like, what if we re-scripted that? And I'm like, I don't know. I still find it uncomfortable. Like, literally, my inner voice said that. Like, so, hey, friends, yeah. Here, I'm not gonna get a rattle, but let me that's kind of we can do anything. We can change anything. We can rescript anything and everything. Ha! And I, for one, sure think some big red line edits are just about being asked for. Yup. Okay, let's do it. We can do it together in that space, by being stationed, not by running around with a big red marker and slashing through others. That is not how you make beautiful edits, additions, evolutions, and expansions. You do it by noticing how things are rolling, stationally observing, and then understandingly influencing and informing the current vector into something more life affirming. I can almost weep. It really is that simple. Why do we make it so effing hard? Nice. Nice. All right, friends, I'm going to wrap this tuning up. This was great. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You know, I happen to be filming this on November 5th, 2025, which is a big old honkin' supermoon, right? It is the closest one to the Earth all year. There are some other celestial and galactic bodies, 3i Atlas, that are happening right now. There's a whole lot going down up in the skies, and as above, straight up, so below. And in this full moon, that is really focusing on relationships and noticing how we feel as a marker to embody and incorporate new ways of being, right? That's the themes of, quote, today's new moon, right? That this is what time it is for humanity, kind of for this next little leg, right? 3, 5, 10 years, maybe 100, just saying. So, as always, whenever you see this video, whenever you receive this tuning, it is exactly the right time. It's exactly right on time. And it's exactly appropriate. And encoded in these transmissions are the energies of the moment in this quantum dimensional reality where the meat-suited Rebecca is carrying this into the world. Oh, yeah. I could just kiss my fork. Okay, just did. Here we go. Let's end this with some harmonics. The harmonic convergence and emergence of building stamina for the mystery in the space of being stationed with ourselves and with others as we evolve. Everything is possible. Everything is possible. We are powerful and beautiful and magnificent and creative beyond our conceptual parameters. Everything is possible. Right on, right on. RebeccaCarner.com if you'd like to reach out for more information, just to connect, or if you'd like a private session. You guys, I'm here. It is with such love and devotion that I show up. It's a joy and an honor. I hope this helps. I love you. Have a great one.